Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining this workshop. Without a doubt, in my business coaching or my executive coaching, this is the topic that everybody wants to hear about. How can I become more productive in my day? How can I become more efficient? How can I manage some of the distractions? So just to get a pulse of who, we have 38 participants on this call. Tell me if you are currently working outside of the home in an organization or an office. If you just want to say me, just in the chat, so I can kind of gauge how many people are working for somebody else. Working at home, Jody says. Working from home for myself. Hi, Tabitha. Robert, yeah, me. Startup founder, working from home, working from home. Got it. Working from home. In the office for me, Stephanie. Okay, well, thank you. It seems like a lot of people in office, Berlin, outside of home, separate home business. Yeah, well, thank you. It seems that the majority, other than maybe one or two, are primarily working from home and or remote. And I hear you. I am a former business professor. I taught MBA courses for 26 years. I've started 7 businesses in my lifetime. And now I stepped away from teaching about 2 years ago. I primarily do executive coaching, business coaching. I help startups and people manage their time. And I don't think I'm an expert at it because we can all be better. Who agrees with me there? However, I have worked across several time zones. And at one point, I was working in Portugal, Boston, and on the West Coast. And if you have to manage your time during any part of your life, it was, very chaotic for me. So I really want to share some things that I have utilized in the past. And I want you to know that you shouldn't take them all in your toolkit and try using all of them. I would pick one that resonates most with you and try that for 1 to 2 weeks. After that, if that's not working or, you can evaluate it. If it is working, then keep it, keep going at it. Use it while you can, before you lose it, right? If it is not working, then I go back into your toolkit that I'm going to present to you and see if something is a better fit for you. I'll share with you personally what I see my clients feel is a good fit for their remote work from home. And I'll tell you some of the downfalls that we have when we are at this remote work stage. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen. And if there's a question, I just want you to pop it in the chat, and then Teresa will either interrupt me if I miss it. And I like to answer it in real time if it's pertinent, as she said, to the topic. So let's get started. I want to take another poll really quick. I want you to either write down or talk to me about what you think your biggest distraction is during your workday. So let's pop it up in the chat because that is very important to identify for time management in your workday. So let's see what's coming up. Oh, I'm not seeing them, Teresa. So if you just want to, somebody call them out for me.
Yeah, incoming emails going to my inbox, alerts on my phone, incoming emails, media, phone calls, and emails.
I
uh,
know. How many of us have more than like one email, right? And we have it both on our laptop, our Apple, our iPhone, and we're just constantly always checking those notifications. I actually wrote an article about notification overload, and I'd be more than happy to share it with you. Anything unique coming up, or are
um,
notifications and emails the kind of,
walk-ins, family,
yeah.
um, yeah, family priorities.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and I've struggled with all of them. I'm working from my home office right now, and I have a commercial space. And for those of you who are saying interruptions from family or walk-ins or other people, hand, this is the Bible. I have a note on my office door saying recording in process, do not disturb under any circumstance. So that is one way to hold some time boundaries that they know I'm going to be in here for an hour and anything else can wait. Unless the building's on fire, which I know that the alarms will go off, there's no need for people to interrupt my time. My time is a precious resource, as yours are as well. And, we talk about time, people, money as resources. Time is the only thing that we can't get back. We can always make more money. We can always get more people in our lives, get more employees, get more friends. But time is something that once it's gone, we can't get it back. So this is really near and dear to my heart. So let's get started. So, one of the first things you need to do every day, if not weekly, is identify some key priorities that need to get done today. I am old school. I love to have like a notepad right next to me, and I write down the three most important things, or in this case, I have a little notepad that says the top 5 priority actions for the day. And I rank them. I say, this is number one on my list, two, three, four, five. And most of us will cross out some of the simpler things to do before we get to that important one. And I just want to shift your mindset and say that might not be the best idea. So I want you to first assess your current workload right now. Like while you're listening to this, what are your top 3 tasks right now that are occupying most of your time? Well, for an example, me, let's see what's on my list. The first thing I have to do is I have to finish filing my taxes. That's pretty important, but I actually put that, top priority. And sometimes we carry it over from day to day. But I don't want you to do that. I want you to be able to cross that off your list or check it off and say that you got that done right away. A second thing that I have to do is I have to post to my LinkedIn. That's a medium priority because that's how I get clients and or um, opportunities to do these webinars or to do these workshops. So after I file my taxes, I'll do the next thing and so on and so on. So before you get into what are your top 3 tasks right now, do you organize or how do you currently prioritize your work? Is there any reoccurring tasks that you feel are consuming too much time that you're not getting clear results? I know for me, social media is a huge time drain. So why don't you put in the chat, like, what are some of the things that you have to do on a day-to-day other than emails, because we've already identified that are just like really soaking up your time?
I have meetings,
Meetings, oh, what else is soaking up people's times other than emails?
task switching, creating and posting content,
Yep, the social
work,
media.
my desk work, manage a team and all their questions, wanting to do
Yep,
too many things at one time,
yep,
phone calls from clients, coming up with a topic for LinkedIn, going from one to another, um, dog attention, exercise, household, dishes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's so easy to get distracted and go to the kitchen or go over here or, sweep a little bit or, just take some breaks. Um, any others that came up?
Seeking new business while doing current business.
Right. Building your book of business, I know is huge.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see anything new. So
Okay.
it's yeah.
So I'll address all of those. I said that social media for me is a big, time suck. And I love writing. I consider myself a writer and an author of several books, but it's still really hard for me. And then managing all those distractions like we had talked about. And so the top 3 tasks with your business should not be cleaning, should not be getting to emails, should not be posting to social media. It should be something that needs to get done right away. And social media is always everything, every day you should be posting on social media, but that's something that should be built into your time, but it's not an important action that you need to do ASAP. So we're going to talk about mapping out these key priorities using some time management tools. And when I say tools, there's no cost involved to use. They're just something that I've tried to use in the past and that I encourage my clients to use. So the first one that I want to talk about is called RACI. I don't know if people have heard about it, but it is an acronym and it stands for Responsible, Accountable, Consulted, and Informed. Now, if you work for yourself, I want to caution you because you're probably going to be the person responsible, accountable. You're going to consult with yourself and you're going to pass it off or in the information to yourself. But I want you to look at it from a broader picture. I want you to pretend that there's two of you and you're splitting yourself. Or maybe let's do me, myself, and Bobby, right? Three of us. So, who is the person to um, perform the work? So, is it Bobby the consultant? Is it Bobby the coach? Is it Bobby the marketer? Is it Bobby X, Y, and Z? So, what role are you taking on when you're identifying this task? And from 9 to 5, I'm making this up. Some of us work from 2 till 10, 8 till 2, but let's just use 9 to 5 as a general workday. The only person responsible for your key priorities should be the business person in you. Family time, dog time, any other time should be either before work or after work or during your lunch hours or during your breaks. So really hold some boundaries around when are you going to perform this work and what role are you stepping into during your workday? Who's going to be accountable? Well, I always say that if it doesn't get done, I'm 100% accountable. But those of us, I know that somebody mentioned in their teams, who is ultimately responsible or has to answer for the work being completed and the quality of the task. So if it's you, take on that responsibility. If it's somebody else from your team, we're going to talk about delegating and giving it to them and just having you schedule time in your day for a quick check-in to double check that it's the quality that needs to get done before you send it out. Who are the people who provide insight and or expertise during the task? And many times, as I said, it's just up to us, but there are so many tools that will help us with some social media. I'll talk about it at the end. Some LinkedIn topics. I know that was an area of concern, or just like generally staying focused. There's expert help out there, and please utilize me, not as an expert, but as somebody that I think I've really got a good hold on my time and the boundaries that we need to put in place in order to feel our most productive and our most efficient. And then who do we need to keep updated on progress and outcomes? And I think the biggest thing here, correct me if I'm wrong, is email. Email people that are emailing us are either wanting something from us, they're wanting a progress report, they're wanting our time, they're wanting our expertise, they're wanting our business. So those are the people that we do have to communicate with through emails or through a different way of communication, picking up that phone call, like you said, on the interrupted phone calls during the day. So who are those people and how are they showing up in our lives? Why RACI is really important for time management and prioritization is that it helps prevent task overlap. It reduces ambiguity. Like, do I have to take this on, or can I delegate or give this to somebody else within my team, or can I put that on the back burner? It assures that no one is really overburdened by what we're doing or taking on too many responsibilities that we can't complete in a 9 to 5 day. So take a deep breath and breathe, because we don't want being more productive, being more efficient in this webinar. I'm not telling you to take on more tasks. What I'm trying to do is compartmentalize your tasks so that you can step away at the end of the day with everything checked off, starting with a fresh, clean slate tomorrow and doing it again. So how does that sound for everybody? Right? That's the whole thing that we want to do. We don't want to keep putting tasks and move it from day to day to day. Sometimes I'm guilty of that because I'm kind of like a squirrel looking at different things, and running across the road back and forth. But with some small tweaks to how you approach your day, I think it's really easily accomplished. So, how many people have heard of the 80-20 maybe sales rule or this type of rule that 80% of results come from 20% of our efforts?
No, I have for sure. Yes.
Okay. So think of all the things that we were talking about that are like time wasters or that doesn't allow us to prioritize our day. Are checking emails constantly through the day, feeding the dog. I mean, we have to feed the dog, but checking on the dog, picking up all these phone calls that might not be necessary for us to, or, very important for us to do it right now. Are those producing our results that we want in our business? Well, this principle says no. They're saying that the 20% of the work, and I'm talking about focus work, that we're really hyper focused on getting things done, is going to pay off in the long run to get 80% of our results. And when we talk about results, for me, it's making an impact in somebody's lives. Sometimes it means profitability for my business. Sometimes it means well-being and creating less burnout so that I feel like I have a good grip on somebody had used the word desk. So we want to identify on the tasks and the things that we do during the day that are the most impactful. What is going to give you the biggest bang for the buck in business, if you will? So take 2 minutes and just think about or write down what is most important for you to make your time most impactful. And if you want to put it in the chat, I'd love to hear from you.
And while they're doing that, I do have a question.
Sure.
Um, so we have our different selves, responsible selves, business self, household self, self-care self, and sometimes all could use 9 to 5 time frame, maybe
Yes.
half hour or an hour. Can you explain more?
Yep. So I will be talking about time blocking and different techniques that we can utilize. So that's a great question, by the way. So that we're not all business 9 to 5, because I know I have to take short breaks during the day and get into this role. So just hold that question when I get to the slide when we talk about Pomodoro technique. If I don't answer it, then please ask it again.
Okay. And in response to your previous question, so respond to customers in a timely manner is
Okay.
something submitted.
Okay. Any other ones? What's a impactful task for you for your business through the day? This is really important because I don't want to go on for the webinar until we identify like what's our top three impactful tasks that we need to do. We talked about
Um,
what we don't want to do.
Discovery calls, marketing time, connecting with customers, sending out estimates, navigating through network, creating content.
Okay. All good things that are part of our everyday business life. So when we focus on these high value tasks, I would, if you're in business your own for yourself or you work for somebody else, generally the highest value tasks are the ones that focus the most on revenue generating activities. So if I have a client that need to meet with today, because I get paid per client, that is going to be on top of my list to either reach out to them and or set up a meeting with them so that I can get paid. Then perhaps my taxes, filling out my taxes, completing would be second. So keep that in mind when we're going through the process of time blocking in a minute and or what's going to be most impactful. Things like marketing should be a little bit lower down on your list. I'm not saying that you don't do it every single day or touching in and communicating with current clients, but they're not as prioritized as some of the either revenue generating and or the next would be future revenue generating. So another thing that we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about how to reduce the time spent on tasks and eliminate some of the low impact work. And I had originally talked about delegating. It will probably only work with a handful of you on the seminar. For the rest of you, we're going to talk about automating our work through AI. And I don't know if that scares people, but believe me, it's going to be the best thing that you've ever discovered. And we're going to just cross off and throw away some of these unnecessary tasks that we're doing during the day, not work related, that we can either put off to the weekend or put off till either before 9 o'clock or after 9 o'clock. And then we want to be able to prioritize who our important clients are and what our important projects are. So 20%, if we're following this rule, 20% of our clients often bring in 80% of revenue. So if you go back and listen to this and look at these slides, the next thing that I want you to really do is look to see who you have currently as a client. And I really want to rank them as where they are in importance for bringing in your revenue. Are they a one-off client or a customer that you have, and you probably won't do any business with anymore? They have a low lifetime customer value. You'll see them one and done, right? If you have a client who's been with you for 3 to 4 years that is always reaching out to buy your product or your service, those are going to be a higher priority client. So when we come to emailing, when we come to taking phone calls, when we come to notifications or texts, I don't know if your clients or customers are allowed to, if you let them text you, those are the ones that I say, hey, those are impact communications. We might stop what we're doing and get to them. Anybody else should be lower on that scale of priorities, and we can get to them. We can put them to the side. So before we go any further, I want you to think about time management and everything I've talked about in this way. Red light, yellow light, green light. Where are the fires that I need to be putting out during the day or the priority tasks? What are some priorities that are coming up on me, which are the yellow? They're kind of smoldering in the background. I can't push them off too long. And then what are the green? What are the green that are low impact work that I can automate, delegate, or remove completely from my schedule? So use that stoplight analogy to help you prioritize clients, tasks, and your day. Any questions so far? Because I'm going to get into the meat of it now.
I think the one that was just submitted is more like the what you were talking about, the time block. So let's hold on that one for a
Yep,
second.
we're getting into that in 1 minute. So here's some actionable items to do right now. We have to audit your time. We only have a limited amount of time. So what I want you to do is go back and look at what you did the past week and analyze what's driving your real progress. That's going to give you your key priorities, which you kind of did already. I want you to batch similar tasks together when we talk about time blocking. I want you to group emails for an hour a day, calls an hour a day, marketing work for an hour a day, instead of spreading them out and switching your focus. Studies have shown that, yes, we all think that we're good at multitasking, but we're really, really not. So I will talk to you about batching your work to make it more efficient and productive and check it off your list. Once you spend an hour or a half hour or 20 minutes on your emails, I don't want you to go back and touch it again until the next time it's in your schedule. I want you to learn the word no. No is a complete sentence. So stop either solving everybody's problems, stop investing in low energy yield activities that don't align with your business goals, and start saying no instead of yes, or volunteering for things that you'll say that you'll do and you really don't want to do it. And then we're going to talk about leveraging some tools for automation. Zapier is one for email, AI scheduling assistants, and autoresponders for these competitive, repetitive tasks. So there's two types of management in our day. There's task management, where we're talking about blocking certain tasks, emails, phone calls. And there's something that is called the Pareto method, which I had just talked about. It also applies to productivity, and it's 80% of what's important to you and what's not. Rank out the top 5 priorities in the task, in each task area. I have to email this person. I have to email this person. I have to give this person a call. I'm going to check up with them. I need to do this. I need to send out quotes. I need to walk the dog. I need to make dinner. Whatever you're spending your 9 to 5 job in, I want you to batch them out according to the tasks. Then and only then can we get into time management. So we talked about the biggest distractions. We talked about how you manage your time. It is imperative to set a boundary to shut off all of your distractions on your computer for notifications or pop-ups. Shut your phone off if you need to, or put it on do not disturb. That little icon on your email that says 1, 2, it's red, or on your social media, that's the worst thing that anybody's ever invented, because the minute that we see 1 or 2 emails pop up, it gives us a dopamine hit and we feel like we have to stop what we're doing on our computer and go right there to open it up. That is, bar none, the biggest time suck of our day, is seeing those notifications, those emails, that social media, that LinkedIn come up. But what you can do is you can, once you have a do not disturb, you're not going to be seeing anything on your phone. Nothing is that important that it can't wait until an hour is up or the half hour is up when you're focusing on the work that you set aside to do. So I want you to time block in your day when you can check notifications, when you can get on LinkedIn or social media or on your emails. And I want you to really hold that boundary for a week. Give me a week, give me 2 weeks, and see how much more productive your day can be. And believe me, it's not going to be easy, because like I said, our brain gets that dopamine hit and we like it. It makes us feel good. But please try to commit to doing this and see how it works. Something that works for me is I have 2 modes. And tell me if this seems like anybody on the webinar. I am either hyper focused and I can work 4 hours at a time, and time kind of passes me by, and I'll come up for air and realize I didn't have my coffee's cold in my cup, and I missed lunch. So how many people can hyper focus in the chat? Just say me.
Yep, yep, yes, yes, that's me.
Okay. So when you're hyper focusing, and if you're in this focus centered, I want you to keep going, because studies have shown that our brain is getting less likely, less conditioned to work long periods of time. So as a writer, sometimes it was like a struggle for me to write 50 words to get to my publisher. Other times I could write 14 hours and it would just, we called it being in the flow. So I want you to ignore your schedule if you're working on a high impact task, and do that for as long as you can. It might be 2 hours, it might be 4 hours, but believe me, the productivity and your peak performance is at the highest when you do it then. Okay, so that's like really hyper-focused work days. Some people work really good under pressure and then they can get right to it. More than likely, most people are like me and we're kind of like a squirrel. We want to do something here. We want to cross that off our list. We do that low impact list stuff first, and we leave the hard stuff that's going to take a longer time to focus. I want you to start time blocking using the Pomodoro technique or method. When you get used to this, it's going to be intuitive for you to do this. Up until, and I'll explain it to you in a minute, for the next week, if this is what you choose to do with time blocking, I want you to set a timer. So, what this is you're scheduling out and time blocking on your calendar 20 to 25 increments of batching your work. So, say from 8 to 9, I check my LinkedIn, or excuse me, from 8 to 8:20, I'm checking LinkedIn, commenting, engaging. Then I'm getting up and taking a break, getting a cup of coffee, doing something else. After 5 to 10 minutes, I'm going back and switching and doing another task for 20 minutes. I might be checking my emails right after I do my LinkedIn and social media. Then after 10 minutes, I might get up and walk around because my Fitbit says it's time to move, get a glass of water, and sit down and go to my top priority. There is something to be said about how we work. I tend to be my most productive from 11 a.m. till like 4 p.m. I'm not necessarily the best morning person. That's why I have take some time to do social media and emails that I can ease into my day while my brain is warming up to be most productive and most efficient on some of these high level tasks, if you will. So figure out who you are and where your energy comes from and schedule your highest level tasks during that time period and fill in the rest of your day in these 20-minute increments when you're not at your highest energy. So that is another way for you to kind of manage your time and get a hold of it. However, it's really important to stick to a routine. And so for the person who said, what happens if we put different hats on? And we're a role of a parent, a role of a coach, a role of a consultant, a role of this. This is an excellent way for you to take on and off different hats throughout the day, but it needs to be blocked out so you know who you're supposed to be and what task you're supposed to be working on. I know it sounds a little regimented, but once it becomes a habit for you, whatever thing we are talking about, task management, time blocking, the Pomodoro method, it's going to become routine. You will intuitively know what is going to work best for you. Any questions that came up, Teresa, while I'm talking about this?
Nope.
Okay. So I want to open this up for question and answers. So are there anything that I said that doesn't sound feasible or anything you want to get into?
We, sorry.
That's
Gotta,
okay.
I gotta stop it from scrolling so I can
I
read
know there's
it.
like all these questions. Don't leave yet, though. Don't leave yet. I mean, I'm kind of done with the content, but I do want to add some more information for you.
Okay. We time block the listed three top tasks or how time block the, oh, sorry, she got part of that cut off. Let's see if there's a continuation. Or how to time block the 5 tasks under the tasks.
So say that again.
Yeah, let me go back. We time block the listed 3 top tasks or how time block the, let me find the second half of it, 5 tasks under the tasks.
No, 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 no. So I think if I have this correct and please forgive me if I don't. So I use like a Google Calendar and I also have a written calendar, or just you can just take a piece of paper for the day and say, my top 5 priorities and my top, and you just type it out, put it in your calendar, put your do not disturb on there, and say task 1 of checking my emails. I need more than 20 minutes, but I'm gonna delegate an hour. So you don't have to put, unless you want to, subheadings under what you're going to do each hour. I want to keep this as simple as possible. So you just put the main tasks down. And just an FYI, if you have some highly, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Brain energetic stuff that needs to get done. Like it might be a strategy session that you have to plan out. It might be planning out a PowerPoint that maybe you don't like to do, or coming up with LinkedIn headlines and you're not creative, or writing that LinkedIn post that like you're sitting there and you have writer's block. If you know that you struggle with the tasks that you're trying to block out, I suggest adding 15 minutes to that task. So if you give it 2 hours, or if you give it an hour, I want you to put an hour 15 or 2 hours and a half. So add more time to it, because it always takes us longer to get into something if we're resistant to doing it, like taxes, right? And the things that we're resistant to do, I want you to rip off the Band-Aid and get those done as soon as you're at your highest energy for productivity. Just get it off your plate, get it done, and so you don't have to think about it anymore. So I hope that answered the question.
Does the Pomodoro technique require a break even if you're in the flow?
No, thank you. Good question. And that's what I was referring to. So many times if I'm struggling for writing was a big, when you're under deadline and you have to write so many words a minute and you're getting paid for it, and you're like, I don't know what I'm going to say today. Sometimes you're just like, I hate writing, I hate writing, I hate writing. I'd set my alarm for 20, 25 minutes, and I just start typing, and I try to really give it as much as I could. Once you start and initiate the task, you find that something turns on in your brain that you're able to complete it. But you have to get through that initial, like, oh, I hate this. I don't want to do it. I don't know what to write about. When my alarm goes off, I'll shut it off and I'll ignore it, because this is when you're in your flow, and that's when you should stay into it. And you might find that you miss checking emails. So when you have this mapped out on your schedule, if you only had 20 minutes down for writing, but you ended up taking 2 hours, just adjust your schedule down. So the next thing on the list, say it was email, even if it's 2 hours later, I want you to do that task next. But great question.
Do you have a calendar app that you like?
So I do, for my clients, I use Calendly, because they can book directly on my calendar, and then it goes to my Google. But I'm a girl that I want to do free. Like whatever I'm using, I use a Google Calendar, and then I link it to my Outlook if you have like a Outlook calendar through work. So they can be both intertwined, and they're no cost.
A part of my job is to be secondary to answer the phones, thus I'm
Yes,
always at the risk of being interrupted. I
yes,
also don't have any walls or a door. Do you have
yes,
any advice as to how I can better set those focused time
yes.
boundaries? I have found that even if I put up a sign, people overlook it and interrupt me anyway. It
Yep.
even happened while I was on this webinar.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. So this is a very common question that I get from like executives that I coach, because they don't, they have this open door policy. They want to be on the pulse within the organization. They're a person that like people come to answers for. I know it sounds crazy, but I want you to, I don't know how big your team is, how many people are interrupting you in this open office space, but I really want you to start setting boundaries and start holding office hours. And part of the responsibility of us holding our time sacred, if you will, is saying, I can't talk to you right now. Because if somebody comes up to me, if somebody's knocking on my door with that note on there, do you think I'm going to leave this webinar and get up and answer it? No, I'm not. So I'm going to ignore them I'm going to say no. I'm going to say come back from 11 to 12 because that's when I have space for you. And part of us is just getting over that people pleasing that we want to help everybody on their time frame. So for the person who answered this question is, here's the question I have for you. Why is other people's time more important than your time? And then regarding the phone calls, I would suggest, I'm hoping that you have caller ID on your phone and looking at what calls you need to take right away and not answering those lower priority calls until you can get to it. Now, if you're a receptionist or somebody that takes reservations for hospitality or something that you're doing remote work for insurance, you probably are on the phone a long time. That's part of your job. However, I still say there is no call unless it's coming from somebody for an emergency, somebody in your family, that you can't set aside 20-minute increments a day and let those calls go to voicemail. Or when you see their caller ID come up, just write it down on a piece of paper and get back to them after you're done with 20 minutes or 15 minutes.
Yeah, there's quite a few comments about the Pomodoro having to be the 20 minutes and take a break no matter what.
No,
So
no.
that's that you
If
clarified that.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you're in your flow, in your energy, don't do it. But if you're struggling with focus and productivity, because some days we just feel like the other day I felt like I didn't get anything done. And then like the last 3 days I've been on fire. So I don't need to set my alarm when I'm on fire and use this method. It's the days that I'm dragging. I might be coming down with a cold. I might not have eaten healthy. I might, whatever it is, there might have been many if there's distractions, you need to hold yourself to this and hold your boundaries in place because nobody's time is more important than yours.
Yeah, and there's actually two about your peak time being the same time when your kids get home from school and or trying to
Yeah. So that is a struggle with young children. I'm a mom of two. My kids are now 33 and 31. So here's what I would suggest for that. Yes, it's unfortunate that some of our meetings come in on times that we're not like at our peak performance or that we're starting to get into the flow of work and our kids are coming home from school. As always, I'm going to go back to boundaries. I'm going to say, like, have a snack on the table, write a note to them. And then from 3 to 4, tell them under no circumstances, I always said, unless you're bleeding or dying, don't knock on my office door. Don't come in and talk to me. And then when you get out of that flow, go check on them. If they're not, I'm assuming they're coming home from school. And then, yeah, just try or schedule a break during that time so that you can spend 10 minutes with them before you go back. But it's almost like not only do we have to retrain ourselves for our time management, we have to retrain our colleagues. We have to retrain our clients. We have to retrain our husbands, our wives, our family members. We have to retrain our phone, our notifications, our computers. But the only way it's going to get better is if it starts with us first. And then we have to and say, we're trying something different. And this is the way I'm showing up now. Any other
Yeah,
questions?
Lisa's talking about 150 to 200 emails a day. It's just not even possible.
Yeah. So here's what I say. I have, and I'm not comparing myself to you, Lisa, but at one point I had 6 different emails. I was working, all these businesses that I started. I had my personal, I had worked a W-2 job. I had this. And I'm not talking about 100 emails a day. I'm talking about, or an hour. I'm talking about thousands of emails a day. And what I started doing is prioritizing them on my Outlook. The flagged ones, I took 20 minutes and there's a way to prioritize them and label them must get to, not get to, whatever. And part of that was training people, do not email me unless it's necessary and or setting up an autoresponder saying, I will get to, unless if it's an emergency or if this needs to be done before 12 p.m. on March, whatever, 11th, please call me. If this can wait, I will be checking emails after because I'm in a meeting, I'm in a strategy, I'm doing whatever. So it's communicating and training our brain, because who taught us that emails have to be answered immediately? Nothing is that important unless it's an emergency. I'll clarify this enough. Why is their priority your emergency? And so time block and get to them. And I would not question you, but are those 100 to 200 emails all high priority, high impact tasks or responses that you need to do? And if they are, you need to delegate, get an assistant, get a VA, or take it completely off your plate, because that is a lot of emails that are high priority.
Yeah, so I think I've hit everything. If I missed anyone in the chat, please draw my attention to it, but I think we've hit everybody.
Okay. And then for those, thank you, Teresa. If
Mhm.
there's another one that comes up, we still have a few more minutes. I just want to talk to you about saving time and efficiency. So when AI came out, as a professor, I was really scared of it because number one, I thought everybody was going to plagiarize. There wasn't going to be 100% authentic information out there. And I had two trains of thought. I could ignore it, be afraid of it, not learn about it, think that it was, uh, not going to help creativity when it comes to writing or producing results, or I could embrace it. So, could you just throw into the chat, have you used AI, any type of AI in your business?
Yes. Yeah, all yeses.
Okay, so yes, all yeses, great.
Yeah, yeah, all yeses. Yep.
So I want you to be aware of something for those of you who have Outlook or or Microsoft that uses Microsoft. They came out with a new AI generator called Copilot, and it does many of the things that the paid open AI platforms do for you, but it's a free service and you can put it, well, you pay through it through your Microsoft 365, and you can put in certain prompts to say, develop an email for this as a, or develop an autoresponder, come up with some LinkedIn subject line, help me create an outline for this PowerPoint. It saves a ton of time. So that being said, I am a big proponent of obviously efficiency, effectiveness, and time, and I utilize it quite a bit. It now can even do something that's almost 100% computer generated for taking things off my plate. And I spent some time and I created a prompt guide that's already written for you that you can just copy and paste and throw it into one of your AI platforms, depending on what you needed. Whether it's a subject line, whether it's an email template. I mean, there's a lot of them out there. So to thank you for staying on till the end or to watch the recording, you can either go to Roberta Pellant at AI prompts / and or scan the QR code, and you'll be able to get that downloaded via email. For notifications, I also wrote a big article about, are you the person that has notifications at 0 or do you have notifications at 350? And I talked about that dopamine hit, and that is on my newsletter, which you can also find it at robertapellant.com if you want to. I don't sell anything. I just provide education for top topics that most people are coming to me with. And so I'd love to be have you in my on my team as part of somebody to support, and let me know how I can support you moving forward. I think another question came in.
Yeah. Do you have any or I guess really, how do you feel about productivity project management tools like Monday.com or Asana?
Yeah, so thank you for asking that. I was a project management instructor. So I taught Scrum and Agile. I think it works great if you have a team, but I think that the downfall for it is when you get the notifications. When somebody tries to message you on it, or when somebody completes a task, or moves something like Asana, Trello, Monday.com. I think it's just another tool for us to check to take us away from our productivity. So what I would rather see you use that for is to track somebody's progress on a project, right? Which is what project management is. But I want you to block out the time that you check it, just like any other app or any social media. So I think they are valuable tools to have. However, schedule the time that you're checking it.
And someone did mention something about the link. Is anyone else having trouble with the link?
Oh, that
Maybe,
we have the link.
yeah. So maybe everyone else can say, let us know. But I do have a couple more questions I can.
Yeah, of course.
Suggestions for immediate to long term for those of us solopreneurs who are lifelong perfectionists, needing to research
Ah,
every single little thing, every purchase, every product, yes, on end.
so you know what we call that? Analysis paralysis. And here's my question for you. I know I feel your pain. I really do, because I was like that when I write my books. It's like they're never good enough. You always think of something that you have to add on there. And excuse me, because I'm trying to find the prompt URL, and I'm gonna pop it in the chat. Um, so what I would do is, how good is good enough? It is never going to be perfect. You're always going to think of things that you shoulda, woulda, could have said, done, put in there. However, what I want you to do is spend X amount of time on it, put it off to the side, complete it, put it off to the side, and then spend 15, 20 minutes reviewing it, checking it for mistakes. And once you complete it, and then once you check it, I want you to hit send and put it off out there. Because like I said, going through rewrites and reiterations and everything like that, it doesn't get that much better. Com Done is better than not being done. So complete it, get it off your plate, and then it's done.
And I'm going to put this one to you, Bobby, but I think that we could also have suggestions come in through chat from others. What are some of the best ways you found to take breaks that allow you to get back to your work feeling refreshed, especially if you
Uh,
don't have time to go outside for a walk?
okay, yeah, thank you. So hydrate is a big one for me. I find that if I slam a thing of water, or whatever you're doing, take a small healthy bite to eat, I always have to stand up and stretch. My daughter gave me this iPhone Apple Watch, and it's kind of like I use it more for a Fitbit tracker than I do for anything. And it reminds you on the hour to stand and to just move around. So for me, it's always stretching. It's opening the door to my office and getting some fresh air. It's going down to check my mail. It's just some type of movement to give my brain a break. And by hydrating or eating something, it nourishes us, right? So think of self-care, and that's a whole different topic, but thank you, for asking that.
So comment on the link. I got to the place to enter your name and email, but then I clicked the button and it didn't do anything.
Okay, Tabitha, is
Yeah.
anybody else having problems? Because I checked that this morning. You know what? I will type in my Use the Q. Okay, I don't know what's going on. I apologize for that. Here's my email address. And if you send me an email, I think is that that's not is that an email address?
Yep.
Um, say it again.
Yeah, it looks like your email address.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that my email address? If you email me, I will send you the download. And I apologize. Of course, there's always a technology problem, right? But I checked it yesterday and it worked. It might be because too many people are on it. I'm not quite sure. I just put the email as,
Oh, you know what? Okay. You know what? It went to the hosts and panelists. Hold on.
oh, okay. Sorry about
Nope,
that.
nope, that's fine. I'm gonna paste it to everybody right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, there we go.
There,
There.
yeah.
So
So you
everybody
can
should have
just
that now.
Yeah, just send it to me there. Find me on link. Oh, by the way, find me on LinkedIn. Connect with me, please. I'm under Dr. Roberta Bobby Pellant, and let me know how your journey's going. It's really important for me to see you succeed, and hopefully you found some good takeaways for this.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining us. We hope to see you on our next educational webinar in the future. And have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, and thank you, Teresa. I appreciate you.